Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another Marketing Chit Chat with Laura and Brandon Utley. Okay, so today we are talking about machine learning copywriting tools, or just AI copywriting, how to use it, what the heck it is. Oh, I first need to say, I always forget to say hello to, thank you for joining us today, Shane, Vivek,
Yes.
Tim, Michael, Corey, and one of my good friends, Jody, decided to jump in today. So thank you. Nice to see all of you. And so Brandon is going to start us off with what the heck is AI copywriting and who should use it for what?
Yeah, it's a fascinating topic. It really is. I kind of think about it as like, let's say you were living in the 1800s or whatever, and you rode around on a horse. And then you saw a car come by for the first time and you were like, that's scary, dangerous, don't like it, don't understand it. I'm never going to do that. Right. And then fast forward to today, not a whole lot of people ride horses to work. Right. I
The
think we're at,
Amish, when you
yeah,
see
we're,
the Amish
that's
and you're
right.
in
If
the
you're
country, they
correct.
still have their horses. It's on.
Yeah, like I said, not a lot of people.
Right.
You got to go far and wide. But it's, because we're in such a crazy technology time, I think a lot of people overlook these inflection moments where these crazy technologies get introduced and they're okay, but you can't imagine how good they will be 10, 20 years from now. But just getting in on it's like social media, right? When early 2000s, when everybody was like, what is this stuff? This is stupid. Twitter, I don't understand this. And then look, it's like one of the biggest mediums. But that's where we are right now with artificial intelligence as it applies to copywriting. So let me just give a quick background because I think this is really important to understand. A lot of very smart people started working on this technology several years back where they basically would feed machines a bunch of text. And this is called machine learning, right? And they would feed them a bunch of different data points. They would say, here's all the collected works of Shakespeare, or here's all the lyrics to all the Beatles songs, or whatever, right? And the machines are taught to learn as they ingest all these words and phrases and stuff like that, with the ultimate purpose of being able to create language like a human. Okay. So the concept is feed machines a ton of information, and then later, how can we query that machine and say, hey, machine, can you write me a Beatles song? And I want you to write it about birds and singing and uh, love or whatever. And you give it a few points of data. And in theory, the machine can then query this massive database and go, oh, yeah, I kind of know how that pattern works, et cetera. Push a button, and in a couple minutes, boom, here's a new song I wrote for you. So it's a machine doing that based on that learning. So the whole technology behind this is called GPT-3, which is a short for generative pre-trained transformer. Right? It's like a big mouthful, but all you need to know is that it was so big and powerful that Microsoft spent $1 billion in 2020 for the exclusive rights to be able to use this. But it's out there for a number of companies to be able to license. And so there are quite a few that have popped up that allow the common person like you and me to, either free or for a little bit of money a month, use these tools to create a bunch of language. So does that make sense at a glance?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, but I already know about it. So, but
Yes,
I think there was a nice, clear, like, what the heck is it and how could it work? Yeah.
Yeah. So let's think about it from a human being's perspective, right? The average human being, according to some research out of Belgium, knows 42,000 words by the time they're 20. Okay.
Okay.
42,000. Well, this system has been fed so far over 175 billion different parameters. Like I said, the works of Shakespeare, you name it, entire Wikipedia up to a certain point. And so far, that system's mastered over 500 billion words. So the machine's pretty smart, right? And so in theory, it's just going to get better and better over time. So that is what is the basis of these companies being able to license some of this technology and then layer on the ability for you and me to use it to do cool stuff. And so what that means is you can use one of these tools, and we'll put a couple up here on the screen, like copysmith.ai or snazzy.ai. And what can you do with these? You can ask these tools to write a number of different things for you, whether you're trying to think of an idea for a blog, or you need a landing page copy, you need an ad for Google or Facebook or somewhere else. You need a mission statement, you need a tagline, you need a hook, you need, all kinds of stuff. They have options. And so what you normally do is you sign up for a free account. You can try them free. You go in there and you say, I want to write a blog post. What's the subject? And you give it some ideas. You give it some parameters. I want to write about marketing in 2021. What are the latest tools? What are the latest techniques? Whatever. And you give it enough input. And then you click through a couple of screens and you hit submit and you see what comes back. And then generally they give you a number of different options to choose from that you can save and do whatever you want with. Laura, I know you've used Copysmith. I've used Copysmith. I want you to share your experience because it's a little cautionary tale right now. Again, this stuff is fairly new. It really hasn't been out in the wild for about a year in the current sense. So what was your initial impressions playing around with Copysmith?
Yeah, I was so excited to try it, right? Because way back in the day when I first started in search engine optimization, there were tools that could like repurpose an article that you had already written, right? It's like spin it, just spin it, put it out there, because we weren't all that interested in quality yet because it didn't make a difference yet on the back building situation.
So that became a bad thing, actually.
Those were
article
awful.
Spinning, right? That's a huge no-no for Google. And that's not what this does. That's not this doesn't like rewrite existing. It allegedly writes something that would be considered original.
Yeah. Well, okay. So my experience actually hasn't been very good. And I was using Copysmith actually on your recommendation to try it out. So I tried to write a blog. I tried to have it write just a blog title. I tried to do it for branding for both mission statement. And then I was looking to see how it would do for tagline. And those were kind of the 4 pieces that I tried.
Mm-hmm.
So it does come back with like sort of 5 to 7, depending on which kind of thing you're doing. If it was like the branding or the title, if it was a short list, it came back with several different options. And I don't know if my just expectations were too high or if I thought it could really work, but it wasn't good enough to use. I'll tell you, when I did use it for the title and like tagline brand kind of tagline tries, it did give some good words that you could use like moving forward in like social media post or something. It did give good words to use on something else, but it wasn't good enough for a tagline. It wasn't even good enough for a title for me, which I thought would be the easiest thing for it. And then the blog. So I wanted it to try to repurpose one, and then I wanted it to try to write one. Neither was very good for me. So I know that you've used it and you like it. So that was my expectations may have been too high. And I actually had some problems with the tool itself, and the folks at Copysmith tried to help, but they never did. So
well, I think your experience is right on. I've had a similar experience. I mean, I think your initial expectations. So that's what we caution you. If you try these for the first time, don't expect it to be like amazing and replace your brain for writing, right?
Yep.
I think you're right about that. What I've seen in my experience is maybe 50 to 60% of what gets spit out is possibly usable, in the sense that, like you said, okay, these are good starting points. I'm definitely going to have to, wordsmith these personally.
Yeah.
But to me, that's not bad. Again, if you're thinking about this being kind of new technology and gosh, what could it look like it's like the first, iPhone, and it was awesome, but man, look at version 12 and they're getting
Yeah.
ready to come out with the 13th. It just gets better and better. Right. So ultimately they should get better. But right now, to me, what they're good for is you should never have writer's block, for one thing. Like,
I don't know.
these are great to go right to if you're starting on a project and say, let me get some good ideas to play off of. And those are great. And so I have used it to come up with some taglines and mission statements, and even in one case, a blog post. And what I also found was the longer piece that you ask one of these to write, the worse it can be, right? You
Oh,
definitely have to
really?
because sometimes
Okay.
some of them will only spit out so much.
Okay.
Depending,
There
especially if
must
you're,
be a sweet spot then, because I thought like title and tagline was terrible.
hmm,
Just they had a few good words to work with, but none of their words put together were anything I would use.
interesting.
Or and I tried it with like 3 different companies.
Okay.
It wasn't like one try, it was several tries. And I gave it good information, like perfect information. Maybe it
So
was
yeah, what
perfect.
we're saying is could be a little hit or miss, but
Yeah.
occasionally you might get a little gem out of it going, oh, that's an interesting turn of phrase. Again,
Yeah.
I may or may not have thought about it eventually, but at least now I've got stuff. Oh, okay, I can copy and paste this and I've got stuff to work with.
Yeah.
I just think these tools are going to be great. They're probably going to get better over time. And you're kind of crazy if you are doing copywriting and you're not utilizing these tools, especially now, to supplement what you're doing. Again, just
Yeah.
idea generation, right? It's like
Yeah.
brainstorming with a computer, if you want to think
Okay.
about it like that. Will it
That's a good
replace?
way to think of it. That's a really good way. I like that. I might actually give it to some of my resources to use, but for me, it's not. I don't need it.
Yeah. But
But
like,
I might give it to other people that I asked to do work for me. Yeah.
yeah, because the cool thing for me, like when I got it to help me write a blog post recently, I was writing about a subject I didn't know a whole lot about. So,
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm going to have to go on Google and research a bunch of crap and pull stuff
Yeah.
together and try to educate myself. Let me see what the tool will do. So I use one of these, and it came back with a surprisingly good amount of stuff that I was able to just immediately copy and paste. It reference sources that information came from, et cetera.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, and some of it was kind of elementary to the
Okay.
subject, et cetera.
Yep.
And I was just like, okay, I'll throw that part out and I'll keep. So I was able to use quite a bit of that, and that streamlined it for me. I didn't have to go out and do a bunch of research. It was well written by the machine, like complete sentences, good grammar, and all that kind of thing. So it's not like it's coming back like the old article spinners with
Yeah.
bad grammar, weirdness going
Yeah.
on. There could be a little bit of that, right? But again, I'm like, cool. So, and the client, when I gave him the draft, he had no idea, but he
Yeah.
liked it. Or, you know what I mean? So it's like,
Right.
I'm not revealing my sources. I'm not saying that I got a, you know, machine buddy on the side helping me, but why not? I mean, again, you're kind of crazy. And some of these tools, like I said, will help you if you're have to create a lot of Google ads or whatever. Sometimes you just get stumped because you want to create a lot of A/B test versions and things like that.
Yep.
That could be another way. You're like, let me feed in
Yep.
the stuff I've already done and see what else variations come out. And
Yep.
then maybe
Absolutely.
I can pick and choose 30, 40% of them, at least as a starting point.
Yeah, that's really good information. So if you're a copywriter and you have to produce content all the time, it's good for idea generation. It's also good for research. If you don't know so much about a piece of information or something you have to write about, it'll just grab it all for you so you don't have to go finding it or the right kinds of, and it puts it together in interesting ways that you can use for ideas again. So very good. Oh yeah, and ads, of course. That's perfect. All
Yeah.
right. That's awesome. Thank you, Brandon. Anything else you want to tell everybody?
No, I think that's it. But yeah, I think you guys splashed up on the screen some of these tools to check out. Feel free to message us back in the LinkedIn chat. We'll put some more of those in there later as well.
Cool. All right. So we're off next week, but back on the 22nd 11 a.m. Eastern. Will it still be daylight savings? Yes, still Eastern daylight savings time. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. See ya.